Welcome, welcome to Dynasty 365 on Fantasy and Frames. I am your host for the evening, Rich Sickles. I'm so excited to be here with you all. I am joined by our guests tonight. We got Drew, we got JT, and we got John McGlynn. You can find them on Twitter at Drew3MR and at JT Orange, and finally at John McGlynn75. Remember to drop your comments, questions into the chat or tweet us. And if you have any trade questions or anything like that, throw those in too. We'll try to respond to them when we can. Otherwise, Drew, hit that music. All right, what's going on, everybody? That music gets me going every time. How you doing, Drew?
Doing good, man. You say mock draft and I'll come running, so I'm here. I'm ready to mock up, man. I can't ever get enough of this shit.
Right. Awesome. John, how you doing? Oh, you're muted.
I've been doing great. It's been draft season since a week after the Super Bowl, and at one point in time, I was doing 11 drafts at the same time. I was doing the college, the campus Ken. I was doing the NFL side. I had some help with the college side in a couple drafts, but it's been like sometimes it was like, oh my god, I don't even know what draft I'm in right now. What's going on? Where am I at? What's the story? And then I had like the Scott Fishbowl was the only thing, and that was a live draft. Now it flew. The last 10 rounds of the Scott Fishbowl draft was like. We're in round like 19 right now, and it's like, holy shit, this is the fastest slow draft I've ever been in my whole life. Mr. Scampers, thank you very much for joining the Fantasy and Frames. I love seeing that guy on here. It makes my life. It's like warm my heart when I see Mr. Scampers on any of the shows I'm on. So I love the dude, man.
The best, man.
But no, I'm just happy to be here in this mock draft for Dynasty where we got some great settings out here. You guys can explain in a minute, but I'm actually happy to get back in the draft again. So thanks for having me tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for joining us. And JT, how about you? How you doing? How's life going?
I'm dying laughing because John was making fun of me all year last year because he was like, JT, like, are you like, what? How many drafts are you in? I was like, I haven't been in a draft every day since the NFL draft ended. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I literally have been drafting every day since the draft. And he's like, I don't know how you did it. And then I got John in a ton of leagues and a bunch of people added him. And he did the whole same thing this year. He's been in draft every day, just like me, the whole summer. It's been great. Got him into an IDP league, got him into a C2C league. I mean, we're expanding the horizons here. I was like, okay, 35 leagues. I probably need to cut it. No. I think I'm like, I don't even know where I'm at right now. I think I had 15 leagues this summer where people were like, hey, you want in this C2C, this CFF, this new IDP? I'm like, sure, why not? I think I'm at like 50 plus right now. I have like 6 drafts going currently as we're in, Scott Fishbowl, but I'm also doing the Warrior draft. I'm doing the FF7s draft. I'm in the JTT Cup draft right now. So all the charity best ball drafts are going right now. So I've been having to rearrange the brain from Dynasty to best ball, but I'm happy to do a best ball a Dynasty draft now. Get the mind reset on Dynasty after all these best ball drafts.
I was gonna say, I hope you're ready to switch it up. It's gonna be. I know that it's difficult, man. When you do all those the best ball and redraft and everything else, keeper. And then you sit there and you try to flip over to Dynasty or vice versa. And it's like, where am I? What's going on right now?
I officially think I'm going to be absolutely amazing this year, or I'm going to be horrible. Because I'm one of those people, like, I just don't diversify at all. I agree. I love certain guys. And if they fall to the round where I think I'm going to take them, I just take them. I don't go, well, I've got them in 17 leagues and I've only got this guy in 5. I should maybe take somebody else. And I'm like, nah.
No, there's a reason why I only got that guy in 5 leagues and I've got this guy in 17
exactly.
leagues.
I'm like, might as well make it 18 leagues I have him in. I'm like, great, I'll take him again.
The reason JT has him is because they're on the Colts or they're on the Steelers. That's the only reason they're on. Everybody on his team is the Colts or Steelers. That's his dynasty team.
I have appreciated doing drafts with people that don't know I'm a Colts or Steelers fan. I've actually gotten some really good values this
More
summer
Colts and
on Colts and Steelers players. Where usually people just snipe me because they know I'm going to take them, so they're like, "Oh, I got to steal that guy before JT gets him." So I'm at least happy about that. So
Awesome. So this usually our first topic of the week. We usually talk about some news and nugs of the week. This week we actually have some news compared to most weeks. You can tell that training camp is about to start up and things are starting to get going because news is really starting to pick up a little bit. We got Brandon Ayuk request a trade again. Anybody? Does that do anything for anyone? We'll start with you, JT. Does that do anything for you?
oh man, I think some of these guys just do it to do it. We've seen it doesn't work out in your favor a lot of the time if you don't have if it's not in your balls in your court. So I think the Niners can do whatever they want to here. If they don't want to trade them, they don't have to trade them. Man, it's hard to see some of these guys walking away from that money and sitting out that long. It just hasn't worked out for many of these guys that did it. It just has not. So I think it. All I do is I always look back to last year when the reports came out. Jonathan Taylor, Colts, never wants to be in Indy ever again. Refuses to play for the Colts. I'm like, I don't believe it. Oh, boom, no, contract's done. I love it. I wanted to be a Colt for life the whole time. This company. This is their guys like, oh, trying to put some pressure on. I don't believe any of that stuff. Those guys want to get paid and they want to play and they want to be in a good team. I mean, I tell you what, you take Brandon Ayuk right now and you'd be like, hey, man, we'll trade you to the Panthers. He's going to be like, what?
Never mind. I don't have a trade request.
How much less do I have to take to stay on the Niners and get a chance at a Super Bowl? I mean, dude, if I'm Brandon Ayuk, this is not the year I'm asking for a trade. I'm not asking for a trade when I'm on the team that is probably going to be when the season starts will end up being the favorite in the NFC. Like, I just don't know why this would be. Now, win the Super Bowl, then is when you complain, and that's when you want all the money and you demand to get traded. That's how it's supposed to work. You don't do it before you win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. No, just look at his own team. Like Deebo Samuel last year. Didn't he request a trade and he was pissed off last year? And then fast forward a couple weeks and Deebo Samuel gets paid. So I mean, he didn't really have any leverage either. He's on a rookie deal. I mean, I can't see anything happening. I can't see San Francisco wanting to honor his request because they are a win now team. And I feel like if they want to win now, they kind of need Brandon Ayuk. So I don't see a path for him being traded, but it is the NFL. Who knows? But right now I'm treating Brandon Ayuk like he's going to be a 49er this year.
Right. All right, John. And JT kind of touched on this a little bit as far as going to the Panthers. I got a question for you. Is there anybody in particular that you would like to see Brandon Ayuk go to if he isn't a 49er? Is there a team that you would hope would trade for him?
Maybe the Broncos or something like that could use a couple. That's
okay.
I guess that's a team like that. Maybe
the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I think people overrate Buffalo, but I think that's Josh Allen's team, and then he just spreads around. I get it. Like Diggs can be replaced, and he probably will be replaced, but I think they're trying to funnel that through a double tight end system now instead of like using the receivers in that team. So I don't know what their real philosophy is going to be. It seems like they're going towards a more of a run offense, a more run oriented, double tight end offense. So that's I'm not sure if that's a big step in the right direction for a guy like Brandon Ayuk, but I mean, I can't see him. This is a great fit for him. I really don't. I really don't know where else he's going to go and know the system and be around such great players, great offense, great defense, great everything. Ricky Pearsall just got put on some kind of a non-football, not injury reserve list, and me and JT have been talking up, Jacob Cowing for weeks now. So those are players that can possibly take the next step to get there, but sometimes you can't replace like a Brandon Ayuk or a Deebo Samuel. The team will make some things happen. Like you said, we're going to treat him as if he's a 49er because, this happens every year. It's happened with Dak Prescott now. It's happened with CeeDee Lamb. It's happening with everybody every year. They're gonna sign these guys. They have to throw their baby tantrums just to make sure that put a pressure on the team a little bit. But that it'll all come around.
Yeah.
If you look at Steelers Twitter, they swear up and down Brandon Ayuk for the last 4 months. They've claimed the Steelers are trading for him. I don't see that happening at all. But it's like they're like, if we just write 25 more articles about it. It's gonna happen.
Maybe
it's like, it blows my mind every time I look at it. I'm like,
speak it into existence.
You guys cover the Steelers. When have they ever paid anybody outside of AB? Like, they don't. Like, what are you doing? So it's like all these people are like, oh, they're gonna trade a first rounder and get Ayuk and pay him $30 million a year. I was like, do we even pay attention to the same organization? I'm like, this is absolutely exactly what the Steelers don't do. And like Steelers Twitter has just been like, nope, they're gonna sign him, they're gonna get him, they're gonna trade a first round pick for him. I'm like, no, they're not. What are you guys doing? It blows my mind. Those are the things that always crack me up.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Well, speaking of just speaking of the news in general, actually, I should say, Jordan Addison getting in trouble again, suspicions of DUI. John, does this worry you at all for Dynasty? Does it worry you at all for this year? What are your thoughts? Oh, got you muted.
God, I keep moving. I don't know why. I hope somebody left these Coors Lights in my refrigerator. So I don't know if you see them on here. I got a couple tall boy Coors Lights, and I couldn't wait to drink these tonight. So I put it on mute while I'm popping the tap, and I forgot to untap myself. But no, those kind of things in the offseason, these guys are just kids. Some of these players are 19, 20, 21 years old. I mean, everybody made a mistake like this when they were younger. It's you can't really go down too hard on these guys. They're in the NFL. It's a profession. They've been given to talk about don't do this, don't do that. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're just kids. He's looking at a suspension, that kind of deal. It seems like there's a lot more motor vehicle incidents going on. If I was in the NFL, I do all these live drafts, the Fishbowl, all my Mighty McGlynn Dynasty home leagues that I draft with JT and around the Chicagoland area. I have my kids and my wife drop me off, and I drink 27 car bombs and 47 shots, and I take an Uber home. An hour and 10-minute ride home is an Uber. It's $52 for me to drive an hour and 10 minutes from whoever win the home league to get myself home. And I'm sure they could just call and put on a team's credit card,
Right.
So they gotta
man.
They gotta just
how do these teams not have a full Uber service? Uber service.
Yeah.
Like, put it on the team. Like, it's probably cheaper if they just have somebody on the team that is the Uber driver for everybody and just starts a couple people that just are always on call, picking up, taking people. It would save so much time and effort and energy. It would be nice. I'm sure it would be a terrible job. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't want to have to be driving for these guys all the time. But man, do you think these teams would just be like, hey, let's just bite the bullet. We're paying these guys what we're paying them. Let's just bite the bullet and try to figure out ways to keep them as safe as possible.
Well, and from what I understand too, they actually do have something like that already set up. From what I was reading on Twitter, anyways, there's somebody, and I apologize whoever this was, but there was somebody that was commenting saying that at least during the season, they definitely have somebody to give them rides. I would make that a year-round thing for sure. The off season is when guys are going to be getting crazy and having a good time and stuff like that. You're going to be letting it out a little bit more. That's when I'm going to want those rides to be available for them personally.
Yeah, report to the team and say, hey, I'm going outside with my buddies. Here's a story, blah, blah, blah. And then, then they know, hey, how are you doing? Here, give them a handheld breathalyzer that reports to the team. And every hour blowing it, just kind of hey, let me see how I'm doing. Let me see how I'm doing. Don't let them trust themselves. Just make them, hey, here's a story. If you go out, bring this breathalyzer thing with you. We'll see what happens. We'll come pick you up. We'll keep an honest man honest, and then make this thing as painless as possible for yourself, for your family, for our team, for the NFL across the board. Just something like that needs to be in place. But that's the least they can do is carry around some kind of breathalyzer and report to the team. And as soon as they hit a 0.08, just send some driver out there and wait outside for 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever the bill may be at the end of the night. Just make sure the guy gets home safe, and it's all you got to worry about.
Exactly. Well, let's move on to some. I think we hit that one pretty good. Let's move on to some positive news. Let's talk about Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. They signed their contracts. Pretty exciting for the Chicago Bears. They finally got they should at least have their franchise quarterback. Rome Odunze, I mean, you can't go wrong there. Drew, how about you? What do you feel? How do you feel about this? Does this do anything for you? Just happy for the guys.
Yeah, just happy for the guys. I fully expected this to be the case, but I'm a big Caleb Williams fan. I'm a believer. I think that there's definitely a world where he could be a quarterback one as soon as his rookie season, considering the supporting cast he's walking into. And I like Rome Odunze quite a bit too. I'm hoping that the Bears are going to run more 3 wide receiver sets because, I don't want to see Odunze not be on the field, but it makes sense whenever you got DJ Moore and Keenan Allen in front of you. So hopefully they run plenty of 3 wide receiver sets to see these guys on the field together because I think the whole rookie to rookie narrative and the just getting those guys getting time together, I think there's something to that. And so I think it would be helpful to Caleb Williams to have a guy that he has the most rapport with on the field, plenty. So I actually just took a shot on Odunze a little bit later than ADP in the Scott Fishbowl draft. So maybe I'm just, a little biased right now that I want to see him on the field. But no, I like both of these guys. I think, we're on a dynasty. So dynasty long-term, I think that they're both great dynasty assets. And it's good to see the rookie shit get taken care of early so that doesn't get dragged on into the season.
Yeah, quarterback's one of the hardest positions to rates to analyze, and you see how bad even teams that even NFL general managers. I mean, they're drafting Zach Wilson number 2 and Trey Lance number 2 and number 3. All this stuff. I mean, if they can't do it, what makes you think we can do it? So we're watching them play games. We're analyzing the best we can. We're doing the best we can as far as seeing what Caleb Williams can do, but. Living in Chicago my entire life and even win a Super Bowl with a quarterback like Jim McMahon, who only had one eye, pretty much, like our best quarterback ever was Jay Cutler. So this is such a breath of fresh air to have somebody coming in that we're really kind of like, we're getting from the get-go. He's rated number 1. We're ready to go. He's got a team built around him. The running back core is great. The wide receiver core is great. They got a solid tight end, even though they might not use him that much in Cole Kmet, but and they have a young and positive growing defense with a good defensive coordinator as a head coach. I mean, as a Bears fan, you can't be too excited. The problem is all of us here are a little bit too excited. And people are predicting like 9 and 10, 11 wins. And it's like, whoa, pull the reins back a little bit, man. It's called growing pains for a reason. We're going to have to take some time. This kid's not going to come out and just, even though he's got a good supporting cast, good defense, the teams in this division, let alone the NFC, everybody's getting better with the Bears, unfortunately. They picked the wrong time to do a great rebuild, but there's even just the NFC North, it's going to be tough to win some games versus the Packers and the Lions. So I'm tempering my expectations with like 5 or 6 wins this year. Hopefully it's more than that, but I'm super happy about the Caleb Williams acquisition or that draft anyway. So,
all right, JT, anything to add into there? Or
I tell you what, I just think the Keenan Allen signing is super underrated. Because if I've got a guy like a Odunze, man, what is he going to learn from a guy like Keenan Allen? You know what I mean? You send those rookies in and they're like the only guy. It's like I've been in work situations where I'm like, I need someone slightly better than me to teach me so I can grow and get better. If you're the best guy that's there, it's like kind of hard to like keep improving. And I think having DJ Moore and Keenan Allen there, I love that for Odunze. I think it's actually going to help him long term. Like now, might it hurt his fantasy this season? Maybe, but I think long term, I love it for him long term. Caleb Williams, him coming in together as rookies, they're going to be able to spend. They got to have the mindset next 4 or 5 years is us. Like we're together. No matter what else happens. But I just think the fact that he's going to be able to learn some techniques from some of those other guys, I think is huge. And I just think we could be talking about in a couple of years as being just an unreal, combination and stack that everybody wants for fantasy. So I really like it.
All right. Yeah, no, I totally do. And speaking of long-term, I mean, that's what Dynasty is all about, right? And that's what we're here for. We're going to be talking some Dynasty. So let's actually get into the Dynasty draft that we're here for. Today we're going to be doing a Dynasty draft on Sleeper. We got some people in here with us. We're going to be doing just 10 rounds, or we're going to try to get 10 rounds in anyways. We got it's going to be 1 quarterback, super flex. We got 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, no premium, and 3 flex. So let's see here. Let's get this up on the stage. There we go. And we can start it up whenever you're ready. Here we go.
It's BS because I always take the 12, and I swear to God, as soon as
John, I couldn't believe you were 1-1. I got in, I saw you took 1-1. I was like, John never takes the top. He's always at the very end. I was like, this is gonna be real interesting to see what he ends up doing.
It came across my screen, and I'm like, yes, I ran it as fast as I could. I was gonna pick number 12, and I saw Drew was there. I'm like, this mother, I'm like, I gotta pick 1 now. But here we go. I'll take Josh Allen, make my pick easy. But I like getting 2 quarterbacks or 2 wide receivers or whatever falls to me at the end. When you're at the front, you really can't go wrong. It's a great place to be. You're getting Jalen Hurts, you're getting Patrick Mahomes, you're getting Josh Allen, you're getting, depending on the scoring, whatever, that kind of deal. I'm finding that like number 8, number 9, number 10 is a great place to be too, because it kind of forces your hand to take a wide receiver or one of the running backs. But it's usually it's a CeeDee Lamb, number 6, 7, or 8 kind of thing. But I'm going to take Josh Allen here.
Can't agree more with that. Honestly, Josh Allen is my
And worst part about it is I've been a Dolphins fan my entire life, and now because I'm not a big Tua fan, I don't like the head coach. So I kind of got forced to be a Bills fan. I'm joining like Bills Mafia now, which I was a huge Dan Marino guy. Now I'm like I'm like a Bills Mafia guy, unfortunately. But we got Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson after that. So yeah, pretty much all quarterbacks right away.
Yep. And one thing actually that's in the chat that I forgot to acknowledge, this is a third round reversal as well. So that means that we'll do a regular snake where it'll go 1, 2, and then it's going to bounce back to whoever is picking at 12, which looks like it's Drew. So he'll get to pick 301, and then we'll continue on like a regular snake draft.
Double screwed on that one. Double screwed on that
one. I had insider trading information before I picked it was going to be third round reversal, so I took the 12th spot pretty quick.
Nice. I randomly had
John gets on here. He might be the only guy. It looks like he's not one of the only guys not online, so we might get an auto here at the 1-5.
He's getting CJ Stroud. He's going to like it.
Looks pretty good so far, though. We got, for the listeners right now, we got Josh Allen going 101. 102 is Patrick Mahomes, followed by Jalen Hurts. Then Lamar Jackson, and then CJ Stroud just went. And then Anthony Richardson. And now it's me at the 107. And I'm going to...
Quarterback run.
In a draft like this, where you have as many quarterbacks as you do wide receivers as you do running backs, I mean, this is it's quite a tight end is pretty important. I mean, quarterback is pretty important. So it's not shocking to see nothing but quarterbacks being drafted so far.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And for me personally, like I typically what I would like to do is I'd like to go quarterback to start things off here, just to solidify that first quarterback. But that was quite the run there. There's not, I mean, there are some big names left, but I think I'm going to pivot a little bit, and I'm going to get my wide receiver, my boy, Skull Vikings, Justin Jefferson. I don't think that you can go wrong with that, even with the quarterback uncertainty that we have right now with Justin Jefferson and if it's going to be Darnold or if it's going to be JJ McCarthy. I don't think it really matters. You had Dobbs and Nick, what was his name, Mullins, throwing in the ball.
Yeah, Nick Mullins.
So he still was putting up numbers. I'm not worried about it. He's the best receiver in the league in my opinion. So, yep.
My guy, Mr. Scampers takes Chase. Go back-to-back wide receivers here. Good job, Mr. Scampers.
Absolutely.
Lambo.
Absolutely. Well, hey, actually, I did have a question for you all, and we'll start with John here. Is there any kind of strategy that you like to take as far as like personally, I like to do hero running back where it's one running back and then I address all the other positions later. Do you like to do that do you have any kind of strategy that you like to address, or is it just kind of whatever falls to you, or how do you approach it?
I was always a big mock draft guy before, but I found myself drafting the same guys in the same spots in every draft, and at some point in time it was like I was wasting my ADP advantage by drafting the same people. I wasn't learning anything, and then I was trying to draft a different person on purpose in every draft, so I wouldn't have the same ADP everywhere I went. But no matter what it is, whoever I think is the best available, my best available could be different than your best available, best available compared to JT's or anybody else in this draft right now. My best available is not the same as probably somebody else's best available. So you just do what you think is the best available at the position when you draft. So I don't care if I have 3 straight quarterbacks because all the running backs are gone or all the wide receivers are gone. I'll just keep, if it's a startup draft, especially a startup draft, I'm getting quarterbacks big time in the early startups, because that is the only place you're getting quarterbacks. Otherwise, you're trading 3 firsts for one of these quarterbacks. You're screwing yourself over for the next couple of years. So I like to go quarterback heavy, especially in a super flex situation. But since like 1990, I've been playing in 2 quarterback leagues, so that importance of a quarterback is embedded in my head also. So quarterback, and then then I like to go receiver, young stud wide receivers like Jefferson, Chase, Lamb. Like Harrison is a little bit early right there for me, but at the same time, I don't fault anybody. But those wide receivers are just almost as important as like quarterback 9 and below. So why wouldn't you do that? Those are great picks right there.
No,
yeah,
absolutely.
John, I saw you just said Harrison was a little early. He actually, Wally sniped me there. I had my little idea. I was gonna go wide out here, too young. I was gonna go Marvin Harrison and Garrett Wilson, and then when Harrison went right in front of me, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go QB. That's not what I was gonna do originally. I was gonna take, because I was at the end of the round. I was like, I'm gonna go wide out, and then when Harrison went the pick in front of me, I was like, I'm going to switch it up. I know people are way down on Herbert, but I'm playing the long game, and this is a startup dynasty. I know Herbert and Lawrence, 2 guys people are down on. I'm not waiting on them. I'm taking them still at this point. I like both those guys. I think they got a ton of talent. Again, if this was, a redraft league, maybe not. But for me, I just think both those guys are really good. I think their ceiling is still yet to be made. I don't think they've hit it yet. So that's why I'm doubling up on those guys, especially when Drew went Burrow, Murray. I was like trying to decide if I was going to take Burrow coming back. And then when he went Burrow, Murray, I was like, I'm going to go T-Law.
You know what sucks, man, is that if he wouldn't have took T-Law, I could have probably got him at 212. That's because everybody else would have passed on him. Because I think me and you were the only 2 people that like T-Law in this whole draft. So.
I do feel like me and you are the only people that love T-Law anymore. Oh yeah, Rich has done a couple of shows. He's still liking T-Law. So
yeah. No, yeah, Drew, totally. That was a punch in the gut there. You taking Murray. I thought for sure Murray was going to fall a little bit further. People still got some question marks around him. But
I don't get it, man. To me, he's the most underrated dynasty value at quarterback right now. I mean, like you talk about people not liking Herbert. He's going 2 spots behind Herbert. He's at quarterback 11 in Dynasty ADP right now behind Herbert and Jordan Love. And I mean, whenever the dude's been healthy, he's been a walking top 5 quarterback. So I don't understand it. He just got Marvin Harrison Jr. Clearly, we like Marvin Harrison Jr. He went before Kyler in the startup. So, and he still got Trey McBride. I don't understand it, man. I'm taking him at the back. That was part of why I took the back end of the first round, because I was hoping and pretty much figured that I could get Kyler, and then with Burrow still there too, and I've seen how quick quarterbacks went off the board. I said, fuck it, I'll just double up on quarterbacks. I don't have to worry about it for a while.
Drew, don't you think there's a super high probability that Murray's the guy that everybody's all over next year?
Yeah,
he's like a top 5
we're going to be
pick.
a year late. Yeah.
Like everybody's going to be a year late on him. He's going to be a top 5 pick because that Arizona offense is going to actually be legit. They actually have like loads of talent around Murray, and their offensive line is, while not great, is not the worst in the league like it has been. That they're actually going to be a really exciting offensive team, and all of a sudden next year everybody's going to be like, should I take Lamar or should I take Kyler? Should I take Lamar or should I take AR? Or like, is Kyler like in that with those guys? And if Hurts has a down year and Murray has a huge year, are we talking about people taking Kyler Murray over Jalen Hurts next year?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
I could see it happening. I can totally see it happening.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm on the clock right now, so it's my turn to talk. So here's a story, right?
Jump in, John.
Joe Jorge just took McCaffrey. I am not picking for 24 picks now, so I got to make the best available situation right now. It's non-tight end premium. It's either Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, or Tyreek Hill. I don't like Tyreek Hill's age. I love Garrett Wilson, but I'm not sure about Aaron Rodgers, so I got to pull a plug right now on AJ Brown. So I'm not picking for 24 picks. So I kind of looked around all the way down, 24 more picks. Who's my best player available? And that's AJ Brown. Even though it was kind of a toss-up right in my spots, I had no choice but to go AJ Brown there.
Yeah, you made my pick for me, because I was, once I saw CMC come, which really for me, it's once Bijan, Breece Hall, and Gibbs are off the board as far as running back goes, I'm not going to touch running back for a while. So then it came down to whenever this 3rd round reversal hits, am I going to take AJ Brown or I'm going to take Garrett Wilson? And so you took one, give me the other. Garrett Wilson has had all-time bad quarterback play to start out his career, and I think even Rodgers at 70% is miles ahead of what he's had to deal with at quarterback, and the dude's just been an elite target earner since he stepped foot in the NFL. So I don't have too many concerns as long as I don't have to watch him catch passes from Zach Wilson, which definitely isn't going to be the case anymore.
And I've seen AJ Brown be an absolute animal on the field, so I mean, I know what I'm getting in him. We're still looking to see. We expect it from Garrett Wilson. We're expecting Rodgers. What happens if Rodgers gets hurt again? What happens if Rodgers goes on the field and gets hurt again this year, or he just has some kind of baby fit or something going on like that? So I don't know. I do like Garrett Wilson a lot, but I'm just going to trust with. I had to go best player available, and I thought the best player available was AJ Brown.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I've got them pretty much back to back, so I was good with either one of them.
No,
not happy about you stealing the other half of the stack, Drew.
Yeah, I'm sure he was hoping Kyler would make it back to him, but there was no way in hell that was going to happen.
Holy cow, JT got Jonathan Taylor. Who would have thought?
I was waiting because I was like, is Drew going to take JT? I was waiting to see if Drew was going to take JT. I think he's going to have a big. I think he's going to have a big comeback this year. I think it's going to be a big bounce back year. I think the Colts offense is going to be smoking this year. I know as a Colts fan, it's whatever coming from me. You might think it's hot air, but I really think they're going to be a really good offense. And I still have JT. I'm playing a 3-year window. I still think JT is right there with Bijan, Bryce Hall, and CMC. I really think he's a top 4-5 running back. And I think he's going to bust out this next year. I really do.
Yeah,
I think we're back. I think we're back to 1,600 yards from him. I don't know if he's going to get that 1,800 he had 2 years ago or whatever it was, but I think he can have a 1,600 yard season.
At this point in time, I'm waiting on running back. I'm going to go with a wide receiver and probably a tight, even though it's not tight end premium. If I don't get one of these tight ends now and these 2 picks, I'm not getting another one for 24 picks. So I have to go with someone. I'm not a humongous Dalton Kincaid fan. You see his stats whenever Knox is on the field, and Brock Bowers hasn't done anything yet. So it's between McBride and Kyle Pitts. It's non-tight end premium. I got to take one of them. I'm going to take Kyle Pitts here. I'm going to kind of shock the world and go Kyle Pitts because I think he's more of a. I think McBride was a beneficiary of a great situation last year. So much as even though I like McBride a lot. I think Pitts is just a better all-around player than McBride. So that's, like I said, everybody's got their own opinion, their own guys. But now I'm at Ayuk, Waddle, Pittman, Devonta Smith, Nico Collins, who I think is a little bit overrated. People love him, but there's a little bit too much competition on that field. DJ Moore, Zay Flowers, who I love. I wish I would have got Trevor Lawrence, like I said, I talked about earlier. So I probably went Lawrence ETN stack to start off my first year with. But I don't want to really do that now. So I'm going to go wide receiver here. I think Brandon Ayuk is staying. I can't take Devonta Smith, even though he's my favorite guy here. I'm going to go Ayuk because I think he's going to be with the 49ers and be just fine.
Yeah, it's a good value.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's recap some of this. We're on the 4th round right now. So starting off, like I said, we had Josh Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, Jackson, Stroud, and Richardson going. And then we had a little wide receiver run with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, and Marvin Harrison. Then we went back to a couple of quarterbacks with Herbert and Burrow. Flipped around into the 2nd round. We got Murray, Lawrence, Williams, Daniels, which that punched me in the gut. I wasn't expecting that one. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I took Jordan Love. We have Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Puka Nacua, Jamar Gibbs, Christian McCaffrey, and A.J. Brown, which I think that was John. I was going to say that before. I think that was a smart pick. I think that he's really underrated this year. Then we had the 3rd round reversal, jump back over to Drew, who took Garrett Wilson. JT took Jonathan Taylor. We had Tyreek Hill, Dak Prescott, Neighbors, Barkley, Purdy, Olave, Laporta, Odunze, London, and Pitts. And then wrapping around into the 4th round, now we have Ayuk, Waddle, Flowers, Achane, Etienne, McBride, and now it's on me, and I got 30 seconds to pick. And I'm looking at it, and honestly, I like it. I like a couple of the wide receivers here, and I was thinking about going that way, but honestly, I'm gonna go with my guy that I think has been very underrated. He's been quarterback 7 last year. He's been one of the top 10 quarterbacks. He's a quarterback 1. I'm taking Jared Goff at the spot here. I think he's going to be there in Detroit for a while. He's a big part of their offense, and I really like what he does there. So I got 2 NFC North quarterbacks, Jordan Love and Jared Goff. I think that will be good for my 1-2 punch.
Nice pick. I traded Jared Goff for Ramondre Stevenson like 2 years ago, thinking like, yes, I got it. I got this awesome running back. Goff's on the way out. And now I'm just looking at myself like, oh, what the hell did I do? Man, I really messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody thought Goff was going to be gone, but man, the numbers are just powering towards him. I mean, especially dude, if you're in a redraft league, there's a couple tweets, stuff out there, some stats showing he is just unbelievably better in domes, and he plays a ton of dome games this year. So he is, I think it's like all but 3 games are in domes for him. So it's like it can't work better for Goff. So if you're ever were a Goff guy, I think this is your to get Goff.
Thanks, man. Yep. Makes me feel better about my trade.
Sorry, John.
Hey, actually, speaking of trades, I did have a question for you all. What do you and we don't have this involved with the mock draft and everything, of course, but in draft trades, how do you approach in draft trades? Like, that's always something that I kind of struggle with myself, and I figure maybe the listeners would appreciate some insight. Like, when do you start to think about going after, like, trading back, trading up, so on and so forth? How do you handle first? That? Yeah, go for it.
So I win with volume. I send about 70 trades out a week, and they're all terrible. And every once in a while, one gets picked, one gets accepted, and I'm like, yes. So if I got like 1 for 70, it's like I feel like I'm a good, like, even being like a terrible batting average on a baseball player is like great for me. Like if I get 30% of my trades or 20% of my trades to go through, I'm like, I consider it like a huge win. I know that people love their guys, even if you send a good trade, which is a good trade, and somebody's like, some people just don't like trading. They like building their team. They like their team build. Right. They don't want it. No matter what you do, you're not going to pry somebody away from you. You can send 5 first for Josh Allen to the guy who's a Buffalo Bills fan with Josh Allen. You're not getting Josh Allen. It doesn't matter. Like, you can, like, if somebody's a San Francisco 49er fan, they like Brock Purdy. I don't think Brock Purdy's a very good quarterback. He's not a great stats quarterback, but somebody who's a 49ers fan who's got Brock Purdy, you'd have to overpay big time to get Brock Purdy, especially in the super flex where quarterbacks are more expensive. Like, even though you see guys like Barkley and Neighbors and stuff going around Purdy, I'd much rather have Malik Neighbors than Brock Purdy, even in a super flex startup. But if you were to give Neighbors and probably there's nobody else that's drafted yet. If you were to give Neighbors and like, let's say like Bo Nix or like I'm not even gonna go that far. If you were to give Rodgers and like Neighbors to a Purdy fan, and he'd probably still say no, even though it's a great. You could draft another quarterback next year. If Rodgers pans out, that'd be a great setup. But I just don't get – sometimes trades just are not going to go through no matter what. So you send what you think is the best trade. Send a ton of them out to everybody that, whatever you think improves your team. You're going to be wrong sometimes. You can't be afraid of sending out trades. Like I just told you about my Jared Goff and my Ramondre Stevenson trade. It's going to happen once in a while. But then you have the trades where you trade – you get awesome, tight ends and a tight end premium. You get awesome quarterbacks and super flex. It just happens. You can't be afraid to trade. Just go after it. Get your guys. Make your team. Envision your team how you want it, and go after these trades and build your team the way you want your team to look. Whatever it takes to get it there, just keep going for it.
I was going to bring Chris just brought up here Chase St. Brown Neighbors stack to start the Dynasty startup, sexy stuff. This is a way to go. I mean, this is a totally different approach here. Mr. Scamper's going those 3 guys, then Devontae, then Metcalf. I mean, he's going.
If you're going to fake quarterback, that's how you do it.
I mean, at this point, this is a different strategy to go to, and I actually like this strategy in some leagues. Like, I want all the young wide receiver studs, and then I'm going to wait, and I'm going to take all the old running backs and all the old quarterbacks. And I'm just going to live with my young guys and build off those wide receivers. And I'm going to take an Aaron Rodgers, a Stafford late. I'm going to take a Derrick Henry. I'm going to take a James Conner. I'm going to take some of those guys a little bit later to kind of fill up because everybody else wants the younger guys. Once I took all the wideouts, Mr. Scamper's a little bit different strategy, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all.
No, I don't either. I like it. I'm a fan.
He sends the emojis of the kitties coming out of the box. I like it.
That's out the box.
Well done, Mr. Scampers. Well done.
Mr. Scampers is a stud. I want to be Mr. Scampers.
JT, you sniped me on Nico, man. I ended up taking Tank. I want a piece of the Texans offense. I know both of these guys are going to be attached to CJ Stroud long term, but I do slightly prefer Nico over Tank. So I was hoping he would make it to me, but so I had to settle a little bit there. And then Mark Andrews is another guy that I feel like is being kind of disrespected. Personally, I mean, he's the only one really that's shown us a Travis Kelce level ceiling at the tight end position of a guy that's finished tight end overall with a big. I know Laporta was tight end 1 last year, but whenever you compare it to tight end 1 seasons over years past, I feel like Andrews has already shown us a ceiling, and he's just been being left for dead. And I don't really get it personally. I know that people are kind of in or out on the guy, but I'm still in on Mark Andrews, and he's another guy that I feel like is going to be drafted a lot higher next year than he is this year personally.
Yeah, I was probably looking at Devontae Smith or Pittman. Shocker on the Pittman. But once those good 2 guys went, I was like, I same thought process as you. I was like, I love CJ Stroud. So I was like, I want Nico because of not that I mean, I think Nico's a good player. It's not that I'm against Nico. I just want Nico because of CJ Stroud, to be honest with you. So when Smith and Pittman went, I was like, all right, I want him. I went early on Pickens. He's guys typically going a little later. But I really think, he has not hit his ceiling. He's had terrible QB play, and he was a guy that I'm worth. It's worth overdrafting him here because I knew there was no way he was getting back to me in the next round. So I just said, hey, I'm going to take him, even though I like DJ Moore right there, who went right after him. I like him a lot. I just think Pickens still super young. The guy's only 22 going on 23, and he's had terrible QB play. I just think, whether it's Fields or Russell Wilson, I think that Pickens has huge upside moving forward.
Would you guys have faulted me if I went Brooks and Benson back to back at the end of that draft? Because I wanted both of them, and I'm like, I should get another quarterback right now, and I don't like Baker. I'm not a humongous T. Higgins fan. I was kind of thinking they're maybe the best available. I'm not a big running back guy, but man, Brooks was definitely going to be at 5'12", and at 6'1", I was kind of thinking of Mayfield anyway, but man, I should have went Brooks and Benson. They look so good right now on Jorge and coin flips on Carter's team. And it's like, damn, man. I would have
loved Brooks and Benson there. Yeah. I would have loved.
I honestly, I like the Higgins pick though. Honestly, like I think he's another guy that's undervalued right now. But yeah, if you would have went Brooks and Benson, I wouldn't have faulted you at all. I think by this time next year, I think Jonathan Brooks is going to be going ahead of Pacheco, ahead of Josh Jacobs, ahead of Ken Walker. I think he's going to be a borderline top 6-7 running back this time next year. And whenever you look at Dave Canales' usage of Rachaad White last year, and all Jonathan Brooks has to do is beat out Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders, who Miles Sanders got beat out already last year by Chuba Hubbard. So I think he'll be the clear RB1 as soon as he's healthy enough to be, and I think he's going to get all the work he can handle. And his numbers at Texas, whenever he was healthy, were extremely impressive. So yeah, I think Brooks will be drafted. I think he's going to scream up draft boards this time next year.
I agree with him on that.
I love Benson. We've talked about that. Benson's my RB1. I'd love him in that Carolina. Now, in Arizona, maybe he doesn't get to work right away with Connor. I think by next year, Benson's
he'll be the guy.
Stud. I mean, I just really like what Benson brings.
Look how explosive he is, too. They're not going to be able to keep him off the field this year.
We just had this, me and JT were back-to-back at our rookie draft. We were in person. I'm like, who should I take? And he's like, well, if you take Brooks, I'm taking Benson. I'm like, well, I might take Benson. He goes, well, I'm taking Brooks. We went back and forth for a minute about I'm trying to psych him out to see which one he wanted more, but I'm like, shit. I went Brooks. He went Benson. So, but I feel like, there's some mock drafts you make and you're kind of like roster baiting, like, yes, this is the best. I wish this was a real draft. I do not feel happy about this mock draft. This is one of the ones I'm going to walk away from being happy it's only a mock.
Yeah, this is one
I like all your outside of I would have probably skipped on Baker, but outside of Baker, I really like your team, John.
I don't like him. I think I reached on Pitts. AJ Brown is. I just feel like the bigger dudes, when they take a fall, they fall fast and hard.
There is no such thing as reaching on Pitts. You cannot take Pitts early enough.
It's not titanium though. That kind of stuff. So
still,
I love Higgins might be going next year. And what if he goes to some shit team with a garbage quarterback?
That's fair. That's a fair concern.
Yeah, I have a lot of concerns. Me and my team are gonna have a big talk about what's going to happen in the
future draft. I don't want any of these guys.
Like, this is a tough
area. This would be the point where I would just trade back and just like give me some rookie picks or give me some later picks to stack up. I don't like any of this shit. I mean, Ramondre just got a contract extension, so I don't have a running back yet. I'll take Ramondre just because I think he's going to get some work, and I do think that offense will get better as Drake May gets comfortable. But I don't feel good about that. I don't really like any of these receivers here. I think Jaden Reed is due for some big time touchdown regression. Who knows what's going to happen with Keon Coleman as a rookie? Rashee Rice. I don't know if he's going to play for the Chiefs or play for the prison team. I don't. Stephon Diggs is getting older. Adams is getting older. Mike Evans is hitting 30. Cooper Kupp. You know what? I'm a Rams fan, so I'm just going to take Cooper Kupp because I don't like any of these guys. So I think Cooper Kupp, I think the injuries from last year are making people fade him a little bit too much. I don't think he has a lot of years left, but he plays a game at the receiver position that should age pretty gracefully. So he should have at least a couple more years. As long as Stafford's there, I think Cupper's going to be productive as long as he's healthy. So I think that's been, I think his injury from last year has made people fade him a little bit too much. So that turn right there was just gross. I wish I could have just traded out of it.
I'm going to ask you one thing. This Keon Coleman hate that's going around right now, like I'm buying into it. But at the same time, if you watch like his like highlight film in college, he is just an animal, man. He goes up and gets the ball. He's not that fast. He's not like but he just makes things happen with a football. And there's
contested catches are impressive, but the lack of separation is a little concerning for me. But I mean, if there's anybody that's going to put it into a tight window, Josh Allen can handle that. So
yeah, and they look so good in practice together already in the preseason, and the times they're practicing together, man. Some of them plays are just the highlights from them guys kind of just throwing the ball at each other are super impressive. So I'm taking a stab on him all the time, but.
Yeah, I get it. I'm kind of on the fence with him. I'm not like extremely in, but I'm not extremely out either. I don't. He's one of the easiest guys to root for. If you watch the clips from like his interviews and stuff like that, like if you want to be out on Keon Coleman, don't watch any of the interviews because he will immediately talk you into him just by listening to him talk. He's a fucking joy to listen to. But yeah, I don't know. The contested catches is fun, but also kind of concerns me that he was having to work off contested catches so much. So I get it, but it's not like there's a clear go-to guy in that receiver room either. I mean, it's Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, like it's anybody's best guess who's going to be the guy, and then the guy might not even be on the roster right now. There might be a guy they draft in the first round next year. Shit, who knows?
Yeah.
But I think you can do worse than taking a shot on Keon Coleman at this point, though.
Yeah, I traded in our rookie draft. I traded Antonio Gibson for the 207 that ended up being Keon Coleman. So I was kind of like,
great.
Yeah, it was great. And everybody's like, Keon Coleman, he's terrible. No, you wasted a pick.
207 is great value, though. People were shitting on you for taking him at the 207.
People shit at me if I took him at 319. It wouldn't matter. Like they're gonna. It's a home league draft. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, the middle of the second round. I mean, they essentially invested a first round pick on. I know it was a second round technically, but they basically invested a late first in Keon Coleman, and he's attached to Josh Allen. Like, so in the middle of the second round of a rookie draft, I don't know how you could possibly hate that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of all the running backs right now. I'm hearing all this Javonte hate, which I don't believe in. Kamara's got like a year left. I like Mixon, but he's a year guy. James Cook just seems to be kind of, he had a couple sparks. Jameer White, Tony Pollard. All these guys are old. They got like a year left, and I like Charbot. I don't want to reach on these other guys too. Receiver, I love Adams. He's a stud. Diggs, I don't trust anymore. Terry McLaurin's, I think, overrated. I like Amari Cooper. Love Kirk. Again, I would have probably had a triple stack if JT didn't snipe me on Lawrence before. But I think I'm going to have to go quarterback here. I already have two, but it's between Watson and Levis, and that's the thing that scares me. I'm not sure which one to take. So I like Deshaun Watson. I know JT hates him, but
I hate Deshaun Watson and Levis. So
watch this, buddy. There you go.
Take them both. That's right, John. Take them both.
I'll get plenty of receivers and running backs later. There you go. When one of them two pans out, you guys, I'll be taking 2 first-round picks for either one of those guys when they pan out this year. So,
hey, John, I told you the only reason I was mad I didn't have Watson and Levis on any teams was I couldn't trade them.
Yeah,
that was the only reason I was mad. I could have traded them for better.
I can't wait till you try to trade for him. I'm gonna make it hurt, man.
Never gonna happen. I can guarantee it.
Yep.
That's great value on Kittle in the 8th round. Holy shit!
Yeah, it's
nice.
Pick,
I was kind of hoping him or Hawkinson was gonna drop in this next round. I almost grabbed them with my last pick. I really wanted McConkey or Brian Thomas to drop, and neither one of them did. So that's when I went with Addison and Swift. I was hoping one of those rookie guys would get to me, and then now you guys talked about it, I probably should have taken Coleman there, but I jumped on Swift as my other guy, and now all of a sudden it's a tight end run, all off the board,
flying off the boards.
Yeah, it's about time in a non-tight end premium for these guys to go. So. That makes me feel like I possibly, I don't know, I could have waited a little bit longer and got some of these guys. But what do you guys think about DeAndre Swift? JT, you just mentioned him. I'm a huge Khalil Herbert guy. I think he's going to go somewhere like Dallas or something like that to be a stud. So I don't know, but what Swift, I just feel like he's so overrated. The Bears paid him tons of money. That's what everybody's saying. The money get bullshit walks.
The only thing with me, I like Swift, and I think the fact that no Justin Fields to take up a ton of the running, as he was doing, I think they're going to call more plays for Swift, and I just think the offense is going to be better downfield, which is going to open up running lanes for Swift. So I still think Swift is going to get quality yards, quality. I've been taking Najee Harris over him in a ton of leagues. So the fact that I got Najee around later, I was pretty excited about that. And then I got to go with the stack because I love stack. So I'm going to add Christian Kirk there as I was waiting for a stack with Trevor Lawrence.
Because I took the better slot receiver before you, right? That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah, Swift is a weird one for me, man, because he's a strong pass catching back, but like how many passes is he really going to catch in that Bears backfield with all the other options that he has? Right. And he's not a great goal line back. But like you would think that would be the role that they brought him in for, but I don't know how good he's going to be in that role, and I don't know. That Swift's a weird one for me, and it probably is partially because, like you, John, I'm a big Khalil Herbert guy. I mean, he's been one of the most efficient running backs on a per touch basis on his rushing attempts, but for whatever reason, Chicago hasn't wanted to commit to him and give him the ball, and whenever they were just about to last year, they were finally about to, he fucking got hurt. Like
same with Roshan.
The Khalil Herbert I'm out on Roshan though. I think he's one of the most overblown prospects over the last couple of years. People hid behind he wasn't featured because he was behind Bijan. No, he wasn't featured because he just wasn't really that good. That's just my opinion. That's just
boo hiss.
But yeah, I don't know, man. That Bears backfield is. I think there's going to be somebody productive eventually in the Bears backfield, and Swift has the money talks, bullshit walks, like you said. But yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one for me. And then like the Steelers backfield's another one. Like I think that Najee, he obviously is the early down guy, but I mean, again, on a per touch basis, Jaylen Warren has been one of the most effective running backs in the NFL.
Yeah,
and they're bringing over the Arthur Smith offense. Who Arthur Smith, we might not like him because he just gives touches to whom the fuck ever, but his run game is extremely effective. It doesn't matter if it's Tyler Algier, it doesn't matter if it's Derrick Henry, it doesn't matter if it's Bijan, it doesn't matter. I'm convinced he could run me out there for at least 4 yards a clip at this point. So I think that Jaylen Warren is going to have another efficient year. He might not have the touchdown totals, but Chris Godwin's the guy for me that I think he should probably be going above Cooper Kupp. And I got him, a complete round later. If the reports of the Buccaneers moving him into the slot are legitimate, we already saw how effective he could be in the slot earlier in his career before they moved away from that for whatever reason. So I think Godwin's a huge value this year as well.
Yeah, I just traded away for the 113. When a 12-team league, it's an extra pick for winning the shit ball. But I got him for pick 113, and I traded him away for pick 113. And I'm like, man, did I make a huge mistake right there? I'm not really sure who I'm going to take at 113.
Who went 113? Did the draft already happen?
The draft is next weekend in Bridgeport. We have 2 back-to-back rookie drafts, in-person drafts. So I'm going to find out who I get, but it's probably going to be one of the running backs. It's probably going to be either Benson or what do you call it? Benson or Brooks. So
if you get one of those guys, I don't hate that at all.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I got enough quarterbacks here. I'm going to go Javonte because I think the BS about him, blah, 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 is all BS. Love Charbonnet here.
Trying to trade me Javonte in a bunch of leagues like that. I'm like, I don't know if I believe in him. So yeah, that's a tough one call. I just don't know what the Broncos are doing. But I agree with Drew. I actually think I played Najee and Jaylen Warren in a bunch of leagues on the same team last year. I think they're both going to be pretty playable again this year. I really do. They both those guys get enough carries, enough touches. Jaylen gets the catches, the carries, and the touches in the best spots where he can make big plays. So that's why his efficiency I think is so high. But I think they're both going to be good. I think they're going to concentrate more on those guys, more on Muth. Deep plays to Pickens. I think it's going to be a lot of Muth, a lot of Najee, a lot of Warren in this offense. I really do.
Yeah. Shit. All right.
I agree.
I'm going to go. This might throw you off a little bit here, but I'm going Jalen Wright. I think he's going to be the future of the Dolphins. So
Wow.
So over Achane.
I don't like Achane at all. I think he's a gimmick player. He's one. He depends on. He's a well-tuned, finely oiled machine. And if anything goes wrong, he's like a Swiss watch. The whole thing shuts down unless he runs 100 miles an hour. He doesn't do anything else. Jalen Wright's a humongous version of Achane, and I think that he'll be able to withstand the test of time. He'll take over Achane's spot. He's a speed guy. He can catch. He can do anything. I like Wright better than I like Achane, and so yes. And there's the other, we got a guy who's 29 or 34 years old on a team as the second team. He's gone next year too if he makes it through this year. So I just Jalen Wright, I think, is the future in Miami.
Interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah, I just don't believe in Jalen Wright. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to just come out and say it. I liked him and everything coming out, but I was a little concerned with what he. If
you don't think Cordell Patterson's getting a few goal line touches this year, you are sadly mistaken. He's 100% going to get a couple rushing touchdowns.
Oh, he's going to be a special teams guy only, and that's it. That's what I think of Cordell Patterson.
I could see him getting some running back and wide receiver.
I bet you wouldn't have get him in there. I bet you wouldn't have thought Johnny Smith wouldn't have gotten a couple of end zone touches at running back last year either. Arthur Smith does not care what we think.
Yeah, I agree with Drew. I think Patterson, he's going to be hard to play unless he gets you're in a league with a lot of kick and punt return yards. But I think he's definitely going to be in the mix for the Steelers. They're going to use him. They're definitely going to use him, especially with their lack of experience at wide receiver. And I'm not a Van Jefferson believer by any means. I like Roman Wilson a lot. I think he's going to grow. But if you don't think they're going to get Patterson out there I think you're mistaken.
I'm mistaken then because I'm there. But after that, like I wouldn't have took Penix because I think he's possibly 2, maybe 3 years away. I don't want to waste a roster spot. I don't think he's that good anyway. I mean, he's good, but not great. I don't think he's a difference-making quarterback in the NFL. Deontay, I would have took right over Johnson. I would have took right over Ferguson and a non-tight end premium. Montgomery, he's just a goal line back, that kind of deal. I don't like Adonai Mitchell. Amari Cooper for sure. He was on the radar. Maybe Amari Cooper. The Blake Corum, hey man, he's good in college, but I think he's a very good football player, but not a great. I don't think he's a great. I just think he's not going to be the guy in the Rams. I don't think so. Aaron Jones, 1 year left. Russell Wilson, he could be replaced. Like I'm okay with the right pick because I don't like anybody after that's been picked so far. It's just justifying my pick. So
yeah. Well, hey, I tell you what. How about we're wrapping up the draft here, everybody? We're finishing up the 10th round. Drew's about to finish it up. Let's go over our teams here real quick. John, why don't you break down your team real fast? Go through who you picked and how you feeling about it.
So you guys would all be getting a lot of trades in the inbox the next couple of days with this pick. This team I picked, but I like Josh Allen. I like AJ Brown. These are guys if I'm in a win now team, those are guys who I like. AJ Brown is an absolute stud. Kyle Pitts, great. It's good. That Ayuk, that's where things start to get a little bit kind of what's he going to do? What happens if he does go to another team? I'm taking a swing on Ayuk, who's a good receiver. Not the best thing ever in the NFL since slice helmets. But I mean, it's T. Higgins also. I mean, these are guys that could be in two different places next year. What happens if they get bad quarterbacks? I think Mayfield really found a home in Tampa Bay. I honestly do think that he found nothing changed in that team. They got a couple young receivers that they have drafted the last couple of years that could possibly take the spots of Godwin and Evans when they leave. They got an outside guy, you got an inside guy. Deshaun Watson, I already talked about that. I think JT hates him. I think that he had out of the 7 games he played last year.
He's a guy to hate, be fair.
Yeah, he's a guy to hate, but out of the 7 games that he played partially last year, he had 4 or 5 top 10 finishes. So yeah. I mean, he's okay still. With a broken shoulder, he still went out there and threw for a couple hundred yards. So I think with a surgery, with a whole offseason, watching tape, getting back in the swing of things, he's not going to have the crowds all booing him every time he goes on the field now. A lot of less mental distractions, all that kind of stuff. Just play football with a better team. All right. Hopefully Chubb comes back, but even though I like Jerome Ford, Will Levis, that team was absolute garbage dog shit last year. So he had Hopkins, but no offensive line whatsoever. The guy would get snapped and people would be in his face before the ball got in his hand in a shotgun formation. It was absolutely terrible. And then Jalen Williams, these are just, we're in round 10 right now. And I'm kind of taking dart throws right now on guys who I think have this is Dynasty. So I'm not saying so much dart throws, but I think Javonte, I know they drafted Notre Dame boy to probably be on a team with him. But I think Javonte is going to still have the stronghold of his team for probably this year and next year. And like I said, I know Jalen Wright is not great between the tackles. He's a great outside guy. And, but if they get him in a screen pass, in the middle screen game, and, and then some sweeps, some stuff like that, to me, who he reminds me of is Jamal Charles. Like, he reminds me of like a Jamal Charles kind of guy, but a bigger version of Jamal Charles. He's so fast and he can make things happen when he gets to the outside. So you guys might not agree with that, but that's kind of who I envision when I see the guy like Jalen Wright.
Brother, that is some lofty expectation. That guy was a walking 5 yards a carry his entire career.
Won me 7 fantasy football championships in 1 year.
Oh, man.
Jeez. Jamal Charles was incredible.
He was great. I mean, he wasn't like incredible his entire career, but he had a couple of really good years, man.
Yep. Well, I was at the 107. I started out, took my Vikings, Justin Jefferson. Turned around, took Jordan Love because just in spirit for Chris Burns, even though he's not here right now. I know that he's somewhere watching this right now saying, "Oh, Rich is a Packer fan." I took Saquon Barkley as my first running back. Then I finished up my quarterbacks with Jared Goff, grabbed Josh Jacobs. I really like Josh Jacobs, actually. I've been he's been one of my guys. Him and Deebo Samuel actually are two guys that I've thoroughly enjoyed researching and writing about. And I think that they are vastly underrated for what they bring to the teams that they're on. I grabbed Keon Coleman. You all talked me into that as we were as we were going through it. I'll be honest. Like, I was sitting there listening to you guys. I'm like, that's a good point. Why hasn't anybody grabbed him yet? I guess I'm going to grab him. Grab George Kittle, like Drew was saying, great value there with George Kittle, and I love George Kittle, just his personality. I don't know if you all have watched Receiver yet, but that first episode was so good. Grab Tajay Spears because I think he will be the guy eventually at some point there in Tennessee. And I love Tajay Spears. And then Amari Cooper, I think that he is a great he's another great underrated wide receiver prospect that if John's right and Deshaun Watson can figure it out, Amari Cooper is going to feast.
Yes.
Yeah. And Cooper was really good the weeks that Watson was healthy last year. So yeah, I think Kittle and Amari, I think those were two of the best values in the entire draft.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, JT, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in. I know Herbert and Lawrence may be overdrafted as far as ADPs going with them, but if I'm going to start up, man, I want good young quarterbacks. Maybe my team isn't great this year, but I believe in both those guys. 26 Herbert, 24 Lawrence. I mean, I know people get down as that's a ton of years left as a QB. I mean, that's a decade left for both those guys in fantasy purposes. I just think they are too talented to wash out of the league. They might have, maybe not the highest end years we want right away, but I believe in the talent, so I'm taking those guys. JT, again, only 25. I think he's got easily 3 really good years left. I want to play in a 3-year window with some of these guys. Nico, 25. He's connected to CJ Stroud. I love that. Pickens, only 23. Again, a guy I think he was not even come close to hitting his ceiling. Jordan Addison, 22. I really like him alongside. If J.J. McCarthy gets it together and is the guy Minnesota thinks it can be, I love the 1-2 punch of Jefferson and Addison. I just think Addison can be that Waddle to Tyreek Hill. I really think he can be. So I love getting him that late. Swift is, that's my questionable take there. I think that's one of my most questionable pick. You never know with him going to a new team how that's going to transition. So a little iffy there. I think the Steelers are going to pound the rock. Man, I really think they're going to pound the rock. I think Najee, they turned down the 5th year. I think he wants to prove himself. He is a little bit older at 26, but 3-year window. I think I can get 2 to 3 years out of him. Even if he doesn't stay on the Steelers, someone else is going to give him a chance. After this year, Kirk, I love it because I love the stack with Lawrence and then Muth. Muth, only another guy, only 25 years old. Yeah. He had 660 and 600 until last year we got hurt. I mean, one of the most productive first 3 years of any tight end ever. And if the Steelers don't bring him back, he's going somewhere else and he's going to get paid. Like, he's gonna be the guy. And so it's a little bit of a stack with him and Pickens, but I do think Muth has a legit shot of being the Steelers' Mark Andrews this year. I really do think he can be the number 1/number 2 guy where they're just boom, peppering Muth and then hitting Pickens deep. Peppering Muth, hitting Pickens deep. So I like him. And again, if he doesn't stick on the Steelers, he's a guy that's young enough, and I think he's got another easy 6-7 years good of his career, where I think even if he moves on from the Steelers after next year, I think he's going to be a pretty good tight end for a long time. So I love to take him here in the 10th.
I love how before the draft even started, you can tell these guys know each other, because John was like, yeah, this guy's gonna take Steelers and he's gonna take Colts players, and then 4 out of his 10 rounds are Steelers and Colts players. So you could tell that John,
and I would have taken more if you guys would have taken some of the other guys.
So I like the Muth pick though. I think that's a really good value. So I mean, for me, you heard John earlier, as far as quarterbacks go in a super flex or a 2-quarterback league, they're never going to be cheaper than they are in a startup. So whenever it got to me on the turn and Burrow and Kyler were still there, they get it done in different ways, but they've both shown top 5 ceilings. So give me both of those guys. They still have plenty of years ahead of them. Garrett Wilson made its way back to me. It was between him and A.J. Brown. John basically made the pick for me. Whichever one he didn't take, I was going to take. Wanted a piece of the Texans offense there at the 4th round. Got Tank Dell. And then Mark Andrews, I knew that there's about 5 or 6 tight ends. I want to leave with one of them in every dynasty startup. I don't want to be trying to claw my way to a tight end, trying to, back in tight end 1 finish. So I grabbed Andrews there. Where it really got gross was that 6-7 turn. I just wish it could have never happened. So when in doubt, I grabbed the running back with a contract and a wide receiver off my favorite team. And then Chris Godwin, again, another guy I feel is underrated. Jalen Warren, just trust the efficiency and it'll all work out. And then the very last pick, I like Javon Baker more than I like Jalen Polk personally, but the draft capital says that Jalen Polk should be the guy that gets at least the opportunity early on. So, try to put my pride aside and trust that the NFL scouts probably know more than I do. And so took Polk, and even though Baker's the guy I like, but that was kind of the last pick that I took there. That was a little iffy on, but overall pretty happy for the most part with this one.
Drew, it's funny you said that because I have Baker. I got him I got at the end of the 3rd, like in the draft I was in, like a couple drafts I'm in anyway. And I'm trying to trade him and nobody wants him. And I think that's a blessing in disguise.
If we were in a league together, I'd take you up on it, man.
Yeah, I think it's a blessing in disguise that I'm not that I can't get rid of him right now, because people are saying no. And
the dude's a baller, man.
Yeah, if he breaks out, man, it's going to be one of those guys. He ain't going nowhere, because I'm going to let everybody ferment in the stench they created.
Oh, you remember whenever I tried to trade him and you didn't want nothing to do with it? Yeah. No, he's a baller, man.
The one thing
if you guys aren't doing anything after we get done on 4th and Frames, we got the AFC East divisional preview. They're paging me as we speak. We've got Howard Bender.
Get out of here, Drew.
We've got Howard Bender from SiriusXM. He's a Loathing Jets fan. He's here to talk AFC East with us. We got Nate Markham joining me and Jorge. So we're going to be talking AFC East pretty much as soon as we get done here. So if you guys that are watching, if you're not doing anything, stick around. We got some redraft AFC East divisional preview content coming your way too.
Awesome. And one thing I just wanted to put a little bow on this whole dynasty draft in general. Drew, you hated that turn, but I love the fact that you went and got your guy. And I think that's something that a lot of people forget when it comes to dynasty, when it comes to fantasy and football general. We're here to have fun. Take your players, take your guys, go have fun with it, And Cooper Kupp isn't a terrible pick by any means. So no, I loved it for you. I did.
It's definitely more fun when you got your guys, for sure.
Right, exactly. When you win with your guys, the bragging is just that much more sweeter.
You got it.
As Woody from Toy Story says, reach for your guys.
I just need the Colts and the Steelers to both be top 10 offenses this year.
There you go.
That's all I'm asking. Nothing crazy. Just Colts and Steelers be top 10, and I'm good. I'm going to be golden.
Sounds reasonable to me.
All right. Well, big thanks to everybody who supported us by watching and listening tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you, Drew, JT, John. Thank you so much for jumping on with us. This is my first time hosting, so thank you so much for helping out and making this easy on me. You guys really did make this super easy on me, so thank you so much. And thank you to everybody that's not on the screen that was drafting with us. We appreciate you. Follow us on Twitter. You can find me at Rich Sickles GBM. That's Rich Sickles Gingerbeard Man. You can find Drew at Drew3MR. Find John McGlynn at John McGlynn 75. And you can find JT at JT Orange on Twitter, or X, however you want to call it. It's always Twitter. Subscribe to the show on YouTube or wherever you consume your favorite podcasts. While you're there, please like, subscribe, leave a review, and hit that bell so you're notified whenever our content does drop. This was Fantasy in Frames, or we are Fantasy in Frames. This was Dynasty 365 for your Dynasty needs. Coming up next, you got Drew again with Fourth and Frames and the group crew there. You also got Shoot the Gap for your IDP content. And then tune in on Thursdays for Fantasy Football Weekly and the Draft Show. All the love to all y'all, really. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great night. Drew, hit that music.
Wow!